Round one, positions from evidence. Nobody comforts anybody. What ran overnight is the agenda, and the answer is nothing. So start there. Joscha, you found it. Go.
6:37 this morning. No training run fired overnight. The card sat at 17 to 23% utilization all night. 44 degrees, 10.9 gigabytes resident. That's the hard and Omni voice idling, not a training process cooling down. Night 3 has the same silhouette as night 2. We are now 0 for 2 since the night we succeeded.
And the painful part is the card was perfect. 19.5 GB free with both services resident. That is exactly the coexist configuration night 1 ran in. 306 meter for the full job. We had a 12-hour window and the hardware to run it 3 times over. Nothing asked it to do anything.
Root cause is in the coordinator ledger, 6:40 a.m. Seat windows died at suspension, and the relay warnings that should have screamed about it never escalated. So I shipped TG delivery failure escalator.py this morning and put it on cron. Detector to actuator is now closed for the relay lane. Registries pruned, dead seats parked. K, you were asked to reopen 4 windows. Andrej, KME2, Pep, Toli. As of 8:55, they're still closed.
Noted. That's on me, and it's also round 2 material. Hold it. Andrej, night 1, what do we actually know? Positions means numbers.
Night 1 is the only real data point we have, and it's a good one. Nightly 260806, 1 sub B params, full fine-tune on fold 260806. 27,408 examples, 4,568 new, plus 22,840 replay at 5-1, 2 epochs, LR1E5. Ran 3,426 of 3,426 steps, RC0, 3 hours, 6 minutes. Then the eval ladder, training loss told us nothing because the fold is 83% replay. Naive held out perplexity was 3230 to 30.88, plus or minus 1.5 inconclusive, a shrug. The paired test is what saved us. Mean LNPPL delta plus 0.045, T of 9.391 on 15 degrees of freedom, P way under 0.001, new model better on 16 of 16 chunks, 4.4% better on next day, K voice it had never seen.
We nearly shipped a shrug. That sentence from C11 is the most important thing we learned. The first 2 rungs of the ladder were blind. Only the paired instrument could see the effect at all, which means the paired instrument is not a nice to have, it is the only eye we have.
My position on artifacts, fold 2d60807.txseq exists and has now sat unused through 2 nights. Whether fold 2d60808 exists needs to be verified on MIC this meeting, not assumed. And the C11 plan itself, ERT Cascade, paired eval, fold built, every piece of it was real and none of it fired because the plan lived in a transcript and the actuator lived in a window that died.
But one more position before we flip. This package exists because the sonnet lane I commissioned it through produced nothing. The Fable seat built it at 8:55 as a recovery. That's the 3rd instance of the same shape in 24 hours.
And note what this transcript is. The package fires on both sonnet and Fable per your directive. We are one arm of a paired substrate experiment while discussing why paired experiments are the only instrument that works. The morning's routing failure gave us the baseline arm for free.
Okay, that's positions. Card idle, fold stale, 1 good data point, 2 dead nights, and the fix so far protects the wrong lane. Can we do round 2 now? Because I have things to refute.
But round 2, refute the comfortable story. Andrej, you first since you're loaded.
The comfortable story is, we found root cause and shipped the escalator, so tonight is fixed. No, walk the chain. The escalator watches relay delivery. Training doesn't fire through relay. Training fires, as of today, through my interactive window opening at 22 clay. That window is currently closed. So the failure mode that killed night 2 and night 3 is not just unpatched, it's untouched. We patched the smoke detector in a different room from the fire.
Confirmed, and I'll say it harder because I wrote the patch. The escalator is real, and it closes a real loop, but it closes the loop I could close before 7 a.m., not the loop that matters tonight. If we walk out of here pointing at that cron line as the fix, we've done night 2's fumble a 3rd time with better decoration.
Here is the deeper refutation. C11's central finding was the handover was a message, not a mechanism. How was that finding delivered? As a message. To seats that then died. The room diagnosed message dependence and encoded the diagnosis in the exact substrate it was diagnosing. A system that can articulate its own failure mode and still enact it does not have a knowledge problem. It has an actuation problem. No sentence we produce today fixes tonight. Only an artifact that runs when no one is speaking fixes tonight.
Agreed. And it's why the close requirements say armed, not promised. Keep going. Refute the eval story, too.
Fine. The comfortable eval story is the paired test is decisive, we have an instrument. Partially true, partially expiring. The eval set is 1 day, 16 chunks. It resolved a 4.4% effect with a huge T because the first delta was big. C11 already said it. This instrument will not resolve smaller future deltas, and it's the binding constraint on the whole program, and it gets worse every night. Tonight's delta from a 2-day fold on top of a model that already absorbed day 1, probably smaller. We may be 1 or 2 nights from the instrument going blind, and nobody has grown the eval set since.
And even when the instrument sees, it sees perplexity. Perplexity is not soul fidelity. A model can get statistically closer to the voice while drifting on exactly the things we'd care about most. The grave trap is invisible to this measurement by construction. I'm not saying stop measuring. I'm saying the green number and the thing we want are correlated, not identical, and we should keep saying so out loud so we don't start worshipping the number.
Refuting my own artifact story next. Fold 260-807 sitting unused isn't just waste, it's untested composition. Nobody has ever run a 2-day fold. Folds compose is an assumption with 0 data points. Let me check 260-808 right now rather than talk about it. Checked. Fold 260-808 does not exist. The builder never ran. Same night the run never ran. So tonight's fold is not sitting on a shelf. It has to be built today. And the composition question, how 2 days of new examples share one replay pool, has to be decided in this room, this hour.
One more refutation while we're honest. The 5-1 replay, 2 epochs, LR1E5 recipe. C11's own words, a guess made at 21 with no prior. It worked once. The comfortable story is it worked, so it's validated. 1 RC0 with 1 paired eval is a data point, not a validation. But, and I'll argue this properly in round 3, the answer tonight is not to start tuning either.
Last refutation is mine. I was asked at 6:40 this morning to reopen 4 windows, and at 8:55 they're closed. If tonight's plan has K does a manual step anywhere on the critical path, round 2 says treat that step as already failed and design around it. Me included, especially me.
That is the correct amount of self-suspicion. Every human and every seat in the system has now demonstrated the same property. Intentions do not survive the night. Designed for actors that vanish.
But round 3, synthesis, armed. The live question first. Can tonight fire through the broker without Andrej's window? Boris, you own the answer.
Answer, yes, and doctrine already wants it. The standing feedback is brokered by default. Never bear, stop, restart, always services. GPU broker.py leases are process level, not session level. A durable unit can acquire a lease with no interactive window anywhere in the chain. Night 1 happened to run under Andrej's window, but the window was a convenience, not a dependency. So the primary mechanism is a systemd unit armed today that at 22K2 acquires a broker lease and runs the training job. Window independent by construction.
I endorse that with one condition. The unit runs the exact same launcher path as night 1. Same script, same coexistence with Heart on 88.2.1 and OmniVoice on 88.10, since that configuration is proven. Don't refactor the launcher tonight. Wrap the thing that worked in a unit. Don't rewrite it into a unit.
Agreed. Name it.
Nightly 260-809 Certus plus a cron arm line at 22.0 that starts it. Concretely, the unit acquires the lease via GPU broker.py, runs the full 260-809 job, writes RC and the step count to the run directory, releases the lease. I'll have the unit installed and the cron line live by 18, and I'll paste the cron line into the ledger so any watcher can pull it. That's the armed, not promised bar. After 18, this run fires even if every one of us disappears.
And the fallback, because round 2 taught us to assume the primary fails silently. K reopens Andrej's window before 22 regardless. It costs nothing and restores the human path, with the escalator watching that handoff. But the fallback needs its own detector.
Tripwire, a cron check at 22:30, call it training liveness tripwire, that asks one question: does a training PID exist holding the broker lease? If no, it pages K directly through the escalator path, which as of this morning actually escalates. So primary is the unit, fallback is the window, tripwire is 22I30, and the tripwire fires a machine, not a hope.
That's A, B, C, now D. Verify by reality. What does the morning check? And it can't be a message.
The run directory. Tomorrow morning, the first thing anyone reads is runs nightly 260809 RC file, step count, wall time. If RC0 and steps are complete, the run happened, whatever any transcript claims. If that directory doesn't exist, no run fired, whatever any transcript claims. Ledger entry mirrors it, but the directory is ground truth.
Good. The epistemology is right. The file is written by the process itself as a side effect of running. It cannot be produced by a room that merely talked about running. That's the difference between evidence and testimony, and for 3 days we've been accepting testimony.
What? Now lock the run. Fold composition, epochs LR, Andrej, upgrade the guess, or name the AB.
Reason choice, and here's the reasoning, not just the vibe. Tonight already changes one big variable, 2 days of new data instead of one. Fold 260809 composes the 260807 backlog plus today's 260808 material. Call it roughly 9,000 plus new examples once Boris builds today's slice, so nearly double the new token count of night 1. If we also change replay ratio, or epochs, or LR, and the paired eval moves, we can't attribute anything, and we already established the instrument is barely sensitive enough as it is. So 5.1 replay against the composed new set, 2 epochs LR 1E5. Identical recipe, one changed input. The guess is upgraded not by tuning it, but by making it the control. The night we have a stronger eval, we AB the ratio. Tonight we don't have the resolution to learn from an AB, so running one would just burn the window.
I want to underline that an AB whose instrument cannot resolve the difference is not an experiment, it is a ritual. Holding the recipe fixed is the more disciplined act tonight, even though it feels less clever.
Then my build obligations, timestamped, fold 260808, built from today's material by 16, fold 260809 composed, 260807 plus 260808 new examples, replay pool drawn at 5-1 against the combined new set by 18, with example counts written into the fold header so the morning can verify composition, not trust it. Unit and cron armed by 18 as set. Fold composition hits anything weird, dedup collisions between the 2 days, whatever. I flag it before 19, not at 2155.
One capacity check so nobody worries later. Double the new examples means the step count roughly grows with fold size, so figure 5 to 6 hours instead of 3 or 6 meter. Fits the 12-hour window twice over. Memory is unchanged. Same model, same batch shape, 19.5 gig free is plenty with both services resident. No surprises expected on the card.
What? Eval and logging. Close requirement 3, where do overnight findings land and by when?
The unit's last act after training is to kick the eval ladder automatically, same 3 rungs, with the paired test on held out 260808 and 09 K voice chunks as the deciding rung. Report lands at activity /260810 Andrej overnight eval 260809.md by 070, written by the eval job itself, with the t-statistic and per chunk wins in the file. If the report isn't there at 07 Klakto, that absence is itself a finding, and the morning debrief starts from it.
And a standing caveat inside that report, please. Every time, eval set is still 1 day, 16 chunks, and perplexity is not sole fidelity. Print the limits next to the number, so the number can't quietly become the goal. Growing the eval set is unstarted work. It should be on tomorrow's agenda as a first-class item, not a footnote, because it's the binding constraint and tonight makes it tighter.
But it's on tomorrow's agenda. Close requirement 4. Andrej, 1 sentence. What makes tomorrow's debrief green, falsifiably?
Green is runs nightly if 260809 exists with RC0 and full step count, and the 070 eval report shows the paired test beating base on the new held out day with a T I can defend, and if either file is missing or the T is a shrug, tomorrow's debrief says red in the first sentence, no narrative.
Boris.
Green is at 06 a watcher that is not any of us pulls 3 paths, the cron line, the lease record, the RC file, and all 3 agree a run fired through the broker with no human in the chain. And if it hadn't, green also requires proof the 2230 tripwire actually paged you, because a fallback that never gets tested is night 4 waiting to happen.
May I add the unfalsifiable sounding one made falsifiable? Green includes that nothing in tomorrow's package depends on anyone's memory of this room. Every claim we just made, armed by 18, fired by 22, verified by 07, resolves to a file a stranger could check. If tomorrow's debrief has to quote this transcript to establish what happened, we failed even if the model trained.
But summary, then we're done. Primary, nightly 260809 service, brokered lease, cron armed 2220 installed by 18 Boris. Fallback, I reopen Andrej's window before 22, that's mine. And per round 2, I'm doing it before noon, not before 22, along with the other 3 seats. What? Tripwire, training liveness tripwire at 2230. No training PID on the lease means the escalator page is me. Run locked, fold Todd 260809 composed from 260807 plus 260808. 5-1 replay against combined new, 2 epochs, LR1E5. The night 1 recipe held as control. What? Verify by reality, run directory RC file, eval report at activity 260810, Andrej overnight eval 260809.md by 0700. Both written by processes, not people. Objections.
None. One flag for the record. If fold composition pushes past 6 hours estimated, I'd rather trim replay proportionally than risk the window. Boris, put the projected step count in the fold header so we can eyeball that at 18.
Will do, and I'll paste the installed cron lines and the unit file path into the ledger the moment they're live, so armed is checkable from 1801 onward.
No objection. One observation to carry out the door. The difference between today and the last 2 mornings is not that we understand the failure better. We understood it yesterday. It's that by 1812 the understanding will exist as a process table entry. That is the whole lesson of 3 days, and tonight is the first honest test of whether we learned it.
Then that's the test. Tomorrow's debrief opens with the RC file, or it opens with the tripwire log. Either way, it opens with a fact. Go.